Okay guys, welcome back. So following on from our driver off the deck video that was really fun for us to do, we want to continue talking about the options you have when you have quite a long distance into the green. For sure. I think a long par 3 is probably becoming more common, you would say. Definitely. And long relative to your, not just long, but long relative to how far you hit it. I agree with that. The forward tees are probably moving back for most people. So fairway wood, hybrid, like long irons are going to be something you use more than just bumping it up the fairway. You're going to hit it into par 3s. Definitely. And I think one of the things that I get a lot in fits is people are maybe unsure whether they should be more of a fairway wood player, maybe go instead of having a hybrid, go to a 5-wood, or maybe even into a driving iron. And why, right? Like it's always, we've heard it a million times, and it's not inaccurate, but I don't think people know why they're suited to one. You'll hear people say, I cannot hit a fairway wood off the deck. I cannot hit a driving iron, in the air. I have a couple friends who can't elevate this, 100%. But I have other ones who hit this way better than a fairway would. So I guess we'll get into kind of what about your swing delivery gives you, I guess, a propensity towards one versus the other. Exactly. So there's obviously different design characteristics in all three. That's the first place to start with when you're trying to figure out which one you should use. Obviously, looking at the design of a long iron, we've talked about this a million times, but a tall face and very narrow front to back moves the CG up and forward. Right. So we're looking at a CG that's kind of towards the face. Correct. And then when you go the other pretty much right at the face. Pretty much right at the face, right? Yeah. And then the other extreme in a fairway wood is further back, lower, and obviously the height of the face, the height there versus the height there. It's less than half. That would be my guess. Definitely. Right? Yeah. So in terms of the gearing and what we're going to get from that, and the CG relative to where the center of the golf ball, matching up the CG of both of those things, they are going to significantly influence the launch characteristics of all three of these clubs, the iron to the hybrid to the 5-wood. We're going to have them all at 19 degrees. So that's exactly the same. One thing we talked about was you're never going to have a driving iron and a fairway wood come standard at the same shaft length. Nope. Nor would you fit someone that way, because it wouldn't make sense to have a really short 5-wood shaft. So you'll probably see club head speed differences, but the loft is the same. So that's the center of gravity. We can see exactly what it's doing based on the loft. I would expect to see the iron fly, lower launch, lower spin. Yep. Hybrid coming up in launch quite a bit, and obviously spin coming up a little bit, and then probably, well, not probably, the 5-wood by design will launch quite significantly higher. Gotcha. Yep. Okay. So let's start with the 5-wood. We'll start with the 5-wood. Yep. We've popped you out on the number 8 hole at Oakmont, Matty boy. Okay. Tough par 3. Barely even see the green. Yeah. 200 and do a little flyby here and show the guys what we're dealing with. But this is the one that even the top pros when they play the US Open here, some of them are hitting 3-wood, some of them are having to hit almost everything because they can get into the wind. They can stretch it back to about, well, let's do it right here. If they want to go off that back tee, there you go, right there. They play it. Oh yeah, there you go. 288. That's plenty. We're not going to hit it there. No. We are going to hit it at 258. Perfect. That is an absolute beauty. Tell you what, you could sell that one for a few bucks in the US Open. Get down there. I think you birdied this hole when we played here last time. Yeah, what was that? What did I hit? I don't remember. I don't know. I must have hit like a 3-wood or something. That was really nice. Buy this. I love 5-woods. I don't know why. Oh! Go in. Trundle. Yes. Come on. Pull it a little. I tell you what, that's a really good representation though of one that you turn a little bit, but because you have a baseline of more spin. Gotcha. It doesn't, look at that curvature. Start line and fall line are very tight together. True. If your baseline spin is 3,200, which I think I'm expecting to see the driving iron about 3,000, 3,200, something like that, and you drop, which you just did 400 there, you start tilting that spin axis and really aggressively curving that.
Yep.
And if we kind of replay that shot, you know, on that one you go, there's nothing really bad can happen with that one.
Not really. I mean, it's going to hit the edge of the green,
Correct.
really, and just kind of bounce into the rough.
There's a ridge over the other side here
True.
that if it hits the downslope on there, you've lost your golf ball.
You're gone, yeah.
So that's, again, knowing where your baseline is on your spin, launch and spin, pretty much tells you how you want to manage that.
It's a really good point. I think if you're worried about, well, if you're seeing wild misses on the course, you probably should look at how much backspin you're getting on every club.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, let's see one more, and then we'll go into the hybrid.
That's good.
Fly.
Should
fly,
catch.
Fly.
Yes, just barely. Oh, firm
nice
bounce. Good though.
I like it. Okay, well, hybrid. Lovely matty boy.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely a flatter flight.
Looks lower, yeah.
Yeah, you can see, I mean, you know, those US Open conditions start to kind of show up a little bit more there.
So it didn't do bad on spin, but it certainly launched a lot lower, didn't it? 3 degrees lower.
And I think that's kind of what I had expected spin to be very similar,
Yeah.
launch to be lower. And then I think what you'll probably see is the hybrid has the spin of the 5-wood, but the launch of the iron.
Okay.
Right? You'll probably start to see similarities in one, but you'll never see similarities in both.
Interesting. It's pretty much exactly the same shot.
Exactly the same shot. Stay there. Oh, that's tough
bunker.
US Open conditions.
Oh, you're
That was a
absolutely
lovely
right, though.
strike.
That's
Really
I actually
good.
don't think I've really paid attention to that enough. It's launch definitely coming down, but spin is not really any different.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
So you're finding it a lot easier, even with the same static loft, and this is the key to the video.
Yes.
The same static loft, you're finding it much, much easier to deliver less loft with this.
Oh, okay.
Right? And that's all to do with really length of golf club. The impact position you're able to get into because of the length of the golf club.
So you lean the shaft more because the shaft is shorter?
Shaft is shorter, shaft is more vertical, so you're able to lean it a little bit more.
So someone who delivers a ton of loft right away, a hybrid's probably, all things being equal, that should be a better choice.
When we had Chris Vauchal, remember a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned to me that they're doing a 16-degree CLK.
Oh,
and I went, wow,
right.
that's great. You can turn it down to 14 even if you want to.
Okay.
And you know, I was pretty excited about that. So basically you can give someone a 3-wood at 3 hybrid length so that they can kind of get that impact into the right spot, where sometimes with 3-wood they can never really get that.
That's the guy who just hits every 3-wood way too high no matter
Just scrapey and just, you know, drop kicks everything. So the shorter shaft length can allow them to get a little more on top of it.
That's good.
Nice. Very nice.
Definitely get that. It kind of scoots a little bit further on the green. That's
a lovely strike.
That was a nice one. Yeah, it just doesn't quite hold the green.
Doesn't quite have the same hold in the green.
Interesting.
And that's being sort of used by someone with a lot of speed.
Right.
You take a bit of that speed away and you can see how that can become a bit of a problem for players chasing it through the back.
Yeah, because your total height will be lower because there's less ball speed. That might not fly high enough to even stop by the back of the green.
So starting to see, so I love when we do these things and it's like 247, 247, exactly the same.
Yeah.
So launch and spin, less and less. Speed, very similar.
Pretty much the same,
Very similar. Very similar output.
Interesting.
Nice, similar dispersion. Love that.
Good.
Okay, let's enter a little drive and iron.
Gets the right bounce, maybe?
Yep, soft.
Oh!
Love that flight.
That's a good one. Yeah, it scoots through. I mean, it's really kind of just so exactly what you'd think. 5-wood landed really soft, rolled out to the pin. Hybrid rolled out to the kind of back fringe. And this one rolled out into the bunker. There it is. Cut a yard.
Absolutely perfect. Soft, soft, soft.
Yeah, so landing angle doesn't let it slow down fast enough.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it didn't have spin. It had some spin.
It's some, but exactly like we said earlier on, we thought that the 9 degrees that we saw with the hybrid would be about the same.
Yep.
But it would come down into the, I think 3200 was about what we guessed.
Yep.
So
20 feet lower.
Yep. So if we kind of put all 3 of them together, there's your similar carry numbers, but they just get there in a very different fashion.
It's really cool. Yeah, the carry's within a yard.
Yeah. Yep.
And less spin, more dispersion makes sense. No surprise there. It's pretty cool. Yeah. The flight windows look perfect increments of each other, don't they?
You couldn't have drawn a better representation up of what a long iron, a hybrid, and a 5-wood are going to do.
Should be doing it the same loft kind of thing. And then so basically then you just need to pick which flight window you're in.
Exactly.
So for me, it actually seems like the 5-wood would be pretty good for me, I would think, if I wanted that type of shot to land that fast. But the guy who spins that 5-wood at 5,500 might need to go down to the long iron to get it into the window that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Different options and obviously different courses require different things. If you're going to be hitting in a lot of fairway woods and there's a real premium on the landing spots. Absolutely. You can see the value of the 5-wood at that point. And
just forgiveness, I think.
Definitely.
That 5-wood lets you get away with some stuff. If you don't quite catch this right, you're in trouble.
And the other part of that is from a utilization standpoint, it's not just a second shot club and you needed to use it off the tee. You might go, well, a 40-degree land angle is way better than 47 in terms of chasing it out there. And
if you want to play a shot, I didn't really try to hit them super low. Yeah. I'm sure you could get that down a bunch more. Whereas the 5-wood doesn't really matter what you do, it's going to go up in the air.
Well, looking at where you were about 85 to 90 feet, 5-wood was flying at times as high as 135 feet. There's a big difference in kind of the peak height, and then you've got hybrid that sits nicely in the middle. So that's why so many people are going with hybrid, because it kind of gives you the best of both worlds.
That's a good point.
But at times you might want to have 5-wood or driving iron depending on what you need.
And you see that with pros, like Rory seems to do that, Tiger seems to do that, and if they're doing it, you can see why. Like if they go to Oakmont, they want the 5-wood, and if they go to the British or the Open, they want a driving iron.
100%. 100%. So, guys, it's all down to the design characteristics of the head itself, and I think what we saw a little bit was the shaft length play a part.
I agree. Yep.
So here, the design characteristics sort of outweighed the value of the loft.
Oh, for sure they did. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you were to try to make them the same, would you need at least a degree of loft on this to get closer to the hybrid, maybe a degree and a half?
I would probably say so. Every degree of loft is good for about a couple of hundred, 2 to 250 RPMs. So to get that back up, you'd probably need to go 21. But at that point, you start losing ball speed.
And it would come short,
so it starts coming a bit shorter. So the flight would be a bit higher, but the distance would be shorter. I think, guys, what is another lesson to take from this is when you're selecting a driver, you've got to understand that not all similar lofted drivers are the same.
That's a very good point.
And it's just, it's exactly what we're showing you here in a much more exaggerated fashion by using an iron and a wood. What I'm kind of indicating here is the width of the head, the depth of the head.
Let me get you the counterpart to that.
Yeah.
So if you've got TS4, which is probably the kind of deepest, most narrow-looking head. I
would say out there right now, that's probably about as flat as we'll see.
And then TS1 is the complete opposite. It's designed for someone to get the ball up in the air. You can see, I mean, I don't know what the measurement would be if on that CG locator machine we used that time, but I'm sure it's pretty significant how much more forward the TS4 would have. than TS1.
Forward, height.
And height as well, yeah.
Absolutely.
So it would be it would be sort of in this region, and that other one would be kind of back here.
Definitely. I mean, what we're seeing with things like speed zone and things like that, pulling CG down and back.
Yep.
You know, that's kind of obviously the kind of main thing that's going to influence that high launch, low spin, high MOI.
To get more
story.
stability out of it,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And that's probably why this is a bit less, or a lot less forgiving, because the MOI is much lower on iron versus a 5-wood.
Correct. Good.
Good.
So, design characteristics, guys, and how they influence your ball flight. That's the key to this video. And then take that knowledge and move that forward when you're selecting for other clubs. Understand that the design of the head will sort of, you know, outweigh the loft that you think that you've always been a 9.5 or a 10.5 or an 8 degree. Don't assume that every 8 degrees created the same. Every 9.5 is the same.
Absolutely.
Okay. Excellent. All right, guys. We'll be back with more on these sorts of series. Different ways in which you can assemble your bag and sort of come up with the right set makeup for you.
Definitely.
Excellent. Okay. See you again soon.